Everyone talks about Foxtrot, Close to the Edge, Settle in England, but almost no one brings up this record. Yet Steve Hackett's Voyage of the Acolyte might just be the most daring, the most overlooked progressive rock album of the entire 1970s. Let's take a look.
I don't think it's any secret that Steve Hackett is my favourite artist, so it's about time to turn that clock back to where it all started, don't you think? Voyage of the Acolyte was the debut solo album by Steve Hackett released back in 1975. Now, you may know that Hackett was the guitarist for Genesis during their classic prog years, and trust me, that influence shines through on this record as well. But there is a lot more going on here than just simply a Genesis side project. Hackett really stretches his wings, and the result is an album that's both ambitious and deeply atmospheric, steeped in fantasy, darkness and pure prog rock brilliance. Setting the scene here first, in '75, Genesis had just wrapped up the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway tour, and Peter Gabriel was on his way out of the band. So the future of Genesis was really hanging in the balance. But Hackett wasn't waiting around. He seized this period of uncertainty to embark on his own musical journey with Voyage of the Acolyte. And he carved out a unique space in the progressive rock genre, one that's distinct from the Genesis sound, but undeniably linked to the progressive tradition of the era. Ace of Wands opens the album with a burst of energy that's hard to ignore. Right from the start, you can hear Hackett's virtuosic guitar play. It's like he's telling us, hey, this is my show now. The song jumps between different time signatures and moods with that classic progressive rock unpredictability. Mellotron swells, rapid guitar lines and swooping flute parts, courtesy of his brother John Hackett, give the track a rich, layered feel. And then there's that frenetic solo where Hackett shows off his sweep-picking technique, something quite rare in rock at the time. It's complex, it's intricate, but it doesn't fall into the trap of being overly indulgent. The melodies are catchy enough to keep you hooked throughout these twists and turns. Next up is Hands of the Priestess, Part 1, which immediately contrasts the bombast of the opener. It's this tranquil, almost pastoral piece featuring fluted acoustic guitar and lush mellotron. Hackett has a knack for building these sweeping soundscapes, and he uses dynamics masterfully here. The melodies are tender, haunting even. It's one of those tracks that really shows off his compositional chops beyond just being the guitar guy in Genesis. You can hear how he's drawing from classical influences as well as folk and even a touch of jazz. The interplay between the flute and guitar is just exquisite. Every note feels purposeful. Then we come to A Tower Struck Down, and wow, talk about a shift in tone. This one dives headfirst into some dark territory. It's ominous and brooding with a sinister riff and pounding drums. Hackett brings in some experimental elements too, like reverse tapes and strange sound effects. This is probably the most intense piece on the album, and it gives a glimpse into Hackett's willingness to explore that heavier, more avant-garde side of prog rock. The track ends with what sounds like a chaotic crowd noise, followed by a church bell, and it's these kinds of details that really give the album its cinematic feel. The hurry follows and it's a total mood shift again. This is where we see Hackett in his singer-songwriter mode as he sings here too. Though he's not the strongest vocalist at this point, there is a certain sincerity in his delivery that works. The song is melancholic and reflective, carried by Hackett's acoustic guitar work, which is as delicate as it is complex. It's one of those pieces that grows on you with each listen. The orchestration swells softly in the background, lifting the melody without overshadowing it. Let's talk about Star of Sirius now. Phil Collins steps in on the vocals here, and yeah, you can't help but think this could have been a Genesis track. But that's not a bad thing. Collins brings his unique timbre to the table, and the song is structured in a way that showcases both Hackett and Collins' strengths. The tune itself is mesmerising. It's shifting between lifting verses and more driving rhythmic sections. It's complex, but in a way that feels quite organic, not forced. The use of the keyboard textures, courtesy of Mike Rutherford's, adds another layer of richness to the sound. And of course, there's Hackett's guitar playing at its most emotive here. Guiding the song through its various moods. The album wraps up with Shadow of the Hierophant, an epic nearly 12-minute journey. Now this track is the culmination of everything Hackett has been building throughout the album. It opens with a simple, almost hypnotic guitar line that gradually swells into something grandiose. The vocals by Sally Oldfield are ethereal, lending a haunting quality to the piece, and then you have that powerful climax, the guitar solo that seems to soar endlessly over a foundation of pounding drums and mellotron chords. It's really almost cathartic, really. By the time it fades out, you feel like you've been on an emotional voyage of sorts. Nitty-gritty time now as I get down to what makes Voyage of the Acolyte such a standout in the prog rock canon. For one, it's Hackett's willingness to take risks. He doesn't just replicate the Genesis sound, he explores new musical territories, blending classical, folk, jazz, and rock in a way that feels both ambitious but yet personal. The production is lush, layered with all these intricate details, but it never feels overblown. You get the sense that every instrument, every melody has been meticulously placed. The album has also this underlying theme of mysticism and the esoteric, inspired by the tarot cards. It's not just a collection of songs, it's a cohesive journey that is, even as a narrative arc, even if the narrative is rather abstract. This thematic consistency gives Voyage of the Acolyte a sense of purpose, of being a true album in the classic sense. Now, it remains a masterclass in how to craft a progressive rock album. It's daring, it's diverse, and undeniably emotional. For fans of Genesis, this is an essential listen, but it stands firmly on its own merits. Hackett proves here that he is much more than just the guitarist for a famous prog band. He's a visionary artist with a voice all of his own. If you haven't explored this album yet, do yourself a favour. Put on some headphones, dim the lights, and let Hackett take you on a voyage. Trust me, it's a journey well worth taking. Drop a comment below with your feelings on this classic, and let's keep the conversation going, if you will. However, in the meantime, on screen now are some other reviews and reactions I just know you're going to love.